The hum of the aircraft had always been comforting to Mia Parker. After 7 years as a flight attendant, she had learned to read the cabin the way a librarian reads the silence of a room. Every cough, seatbelt click, and overhead bin slam carried meaning. Some flights were peaceful. Some were chaotic. And some were destined to become stories she'd be telling for decades. Flight 392 to Seattle was shaping up to be one of those. It all began before they had even taken off. The boarding process had barely finished when Mia noticed the woman in seat 17B, mid-50s, sharp blonde bob, pearls, floral blouse that looked expensive enough to need its own seat. She had already scolded 2 passengers for walking too slowly and snapped her fingers at another flight attendant because the overhead bin wasn't soft enough to close. Her name, Sharon, though Mia had learned within minutes that Sharon preferred the term valued customer. Row 17 was barely settled when the first chime sounded. Ding! Mia turned toward the sound. Sharon was staring directly at her, finger already hovering over the call button like it was a video game controller. "Ma'am, how can I help you?" Mia asked, keeping her voice warm. "Yes," Sharon huffed. "I need you to wipe down my tray table. I don't trust the previous passengers." "Of course." Mia grabbed a sanitizing wipe, cleaned the tray, and stepped back. "All set." Sharon said, inspecting it like a detective checking for fingerprints. "Do it again." Mia did. She'd dealt with this type before. No big deal. But the moment she walked away. Ding. Mia returned. "Yes, ma'am? I need a bottle of water." "Absolutely." She filled a bottle, brought it back. "Not this temperature," Sharon said. "It's too watery." Mia blinked. "Ma'am. It's water." "Well, it shouldn't taste like this," Sharon snapped. "Bring me another." Mia exchanged a glance with a nearby passenger in 17C who mouthed, "Good luck," with sympathetic eyebrows. She replaced the bottle. 2 minutes later. Ding. This time, Mia felt every muscle in her back tighten. "Yes," she said slowly. "My seat feels lumpy," Sharon declared. "Fix it." Mia examined it. It was a normal seat. But she adjusted the cushion anyway. "That's all wrong," Sharon complained again. "Do you even know how to do your job?" Mia inhaled through her nose. "Professional. Calm. Neutral. Yes, ma'am, everything is in working order. If you'd like, once we take off, I can help you find a more comfortable position." "That's unacceptable. Fix it right now." The man in 17C coughed pointedly. "Lady, it's a chair, not an orthopedic hotel bed." Sharon gasped dramatically, clutching her pearls like she'd been personally attacked. Is this airline always this disrespectful to paying customers? Before Mia could respond, the pilot's voice came over the intercom, announcing pre-takeoff procedures. Mia reminded Sharon politely, "We'll be departing soon. Please remain seated." Sharon narrowed her eyes. It was the look of a villain in a soap opera right before they say, "You'll regret this." Mia headed to the galley, relieved for a moment of breathing space. She didn't get it. Ding. 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 3 presses in 5 seconds. MIA's head whipped around. Even passengers several rows away were looking back now, groaning. One woman whispered, "She's gonna break the button." Another muttered, "We're not even in the air yet." Mia returned to row 17. "Ma'am, I need you to stop pressing the call button unless it's an urgent need. We will take care of you, but it is urgent." Sharon hissed. "What's the emergency?" "My window is dirty." Mia stared. "Your window?" "Yes." "Look at it." "How am I supposed to enjoy my view if it's streaky?" "Clean it." "Ma'am." We're on a sealed aircraft. I cannot go outside and clean the window. Well, someone should. Passengers around them snickered. Sharon shot them a death glare. Mia leaned in slightly. Ma'am, I'm going to ask you kindly to refrain from pressing the button repeatedly. If there is a legitimate safety concern, I will respond immediately. But misusing the call button can interfere with cabin operations. You're lecturing me now? Sharon snapped, eyes blazing with exaggerated outrage. I'll press it whenever I want. Before Mia could reply, Sharon raised her finger dramatically. And pressed it again. Ding. But she didn't stop. Ding. 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 People groaned. Someone yelled, "Come on, lady, stop already." Even the overhead lights flickered as if the plane was exhausted. Mia closed her eyes for half a second. Professional. Calm. Neutral. But she knew this was about to turn into something bigger. Much bigger. Because Sharon had just broken the one rule flight attendants know by heart. When you treat the crew like servants before takeoff, you're guaranteeing turbulence before landing. And Mia had officially had enough. The plane finally lifted off the runway, engines humming as the cabin leaned gently back. Most passengers relaxed instantly, heads against seats, earbuds in, books opening. Takeoff always brought a brief moment of peace. Except in row 17. Sharon, self-appointed queen of the economy cabin, was already shifting in her seat like a cat on a hot stovetop. The second the seatbelt sign dinged off, she slammed her finger onto the call button again as if she had been waiting her whole life for this exact moment. Ding. This time, she held her finger on it an extra second, just to show dominance. Mia closed her eyes, inhaled, and walked back. "Yes, ma'am," she said, keeping her voice even. "My air vent is blowing too soft," Sharon said. "Fix it." Mia reached up, adjusted it slightly. "Is that better?" "No," Sharon complained. "I need it stronger. Much stronger." Mia adjusted again. The vent was now at maximum airflow. "It can't go any higher," she explained. "It can," Sharon insisted, folding her arms. "You're just refusing. I know flight attendants control the airflow from the back." "That isn't how the system works," Mia said patiently. "So you're saying I'm wrong?" Sharon gasped loudly, turning dramatically toward her row. "She's calling me a liar." The man in 17C muttered, "No, she's calling physics a liar." A few passengers snorted quietly. Sharon glared at him, then turned her glare back to Mia. "Well, since you're refusing to adjust my air vent, I want a blanket. And a pillow. And headphones. And a snack. And don't bring me the cheap pretzels. I want the good snacks I saw in the brochure. Ma'am, the items listed in the catalog are for purchase." Sharon's eyes widened. "Purchase? Why should I pay for anything? I should be compensated for having to deal with your poor service." Mia knew exactly where this was headed. "Very well," she said calmly. "Would you like to purchase anything?" "Yes," Sharon said with a smirk. "I want the premium snack tray. And a sparkling water. But I'm not paying for it. That's a processing fee for your unprofessional attitude. That's not." Ding. The button again. Mia didn't react quickly enough this time, so Sharon pressed it again. Ding. And again. Ding. Several passengers groaned. "Lady, please stop," someone from row 18 said. "Yeah, we're trying to relax," someone else added. Sharon whipped her head around. "Mind your own business. I have rights." Mia stepped forward. "Ma'am, if you continue pressing the call button unnecessarily, I will have to document it. This will go into the flight report." Sharon's face turned red. Are you threatening me? It's not a threat. It's procedure. Well, Sharon snapped, then let me speak to your supervisor. We don't have supervisors on planes. You do. Every business has one. The lead flight attendant is. I want them. Mia nodded, then walked to the front to call her lead, Jacob. Had been flying even longer than she had and had the kind of calm, steady voice that could soothe even the worst situations. He approached row 17 with a gentle smile. Ma'am, I understand you have concerns? Oh yes I do, Sharon said proudly. Your employee has been extremely disrespectful. She refuses to help me. She refuses to take responsibility. She refuses to give me the service I deserve. This airline clearly doesn't understand what customer care means. Ma'am, Jacob began, Mia has informed me of everything and we have documentation. Repeated use of the call button for non-urgent requests can interfere with safety procedures. I don't care, Sharon snapped. If I want something, I will press the button. Every time. As much as I want. Jacob nodded calmly. Very well. I'm noting that on the report. But I must warn you, continued disruptive behavior may require further action. That was the moment Sharon decided to escalate. She leaned back dramatically, raised her finger, and pressed the button 3 times in rapid succession. Ding! 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 Passengers groaned again. Someone covered their ears. A baby even started crying. Then Sharon looked at Jacob with triumph, as if she had just won an invisible courtroom battle. There. What are you going to do about that? Jacob didn't raise his voice. Didn't frown. Didn't flinch. Instead, he reached into his front pocket, pulled out a small laminated card, and handed it to her. She squinted at it. What is this? It's a written warning, Jacob said gently. You are officially classified as a disruptive passenger for interfering with crew operations. Sharon blinked at the card. What? Me? Disruptive? Yes, ma'am. The woman in 17A whispered, understatement of the year. Sharon stood up so abruptly that her seatbelt snapped back loudly. I demand to speak to the captain. Jacob smiled politely. All right. Sharon froze. Wait, really? Yes. I think he actually wants to speak with you. Passengers murmured. A ripple of anticipation moved through the cabin. Sharon swallowed, suddenly less confident. Because she had no idea that the captain was already extremely aware of her behavior. And he was a man who took safety very seriously. And now, Sharon was about to get an introduction to airline policy she would never forget. The cabin lights dimmed to a soft amber glow as the plane sliced through a patch of light turbulence. A few passengers tightened their seatbelts, drinks rattled on tray tables, and the engines hummed deeper as the aircraft steadied itself. Most people simply braced and waited for the bumps to pass. Except Karen. Of course. The moment the fasten seatbelt sign chimed on, she flung her hands into the air dramatically, as if she'd been personally wronged by gravity. What is this? She screeched, motioning aggressively at the glowing sign above her aisle. I did not agree to turbulence when I bought this ticket. The nervous teen, Lily, flinched beside her, gripping the armrests. She had finally begun to relax after the earlier chaos, but Karen's voice sliced straight through her fragile calm. I saw her shoulders tense again. Across the aisle, I watched the situation unfold like the world's least fun in-flight entertainment. The flight attendant, Maya, who had already dealt with Karen twice today, approached cautiously. Her polite smile had been replaced with the expression of a woman reconsidering every career choice she had made since high school. Ma'am, Maya said with carefully measured patience, the seatbelt sign is on due to turbulence. Please make sure yours is fastened. Karen's eyes bulged. Absolutely not. I need to stretch. I have circulation issues. And I paid extra for comfort seat access, which your airline clearly lied about. That's not a real, Maya paused, exhaling. Ma'am, for safety reasons, you need to remain seated. Karen gasped like she'd been slapped. Are you telling me what to do? Me? A loyal platinum-level traveler? From 2 rows behind, a man muttered, she's platinum-level delusional. The passengers snickered quietly. Karen whipped her head around, searching for the culprit, but the plane jolted again and forced her back into her seat. Lily, her voice shaky, whispered, maybe it's safer if we just sit for a bit? Karen glared at her. Sweetheart, I've been flying for 40 years. I know what's safe. You just told her you don't fly often, Maya said under her breath before catching herself. I couldn't help it, I laughed. Out loud. Karen snapped toward me. Is something funny? I nodded. Yes. You. A few passengers choked on their own laughter. Karen's face flushed tomato red. She stabbed the call button again. Ding. Then again. Ding ding ding. Then again and again, like she was trying to summon an ancient airline demon. Maya closed her eyes, visibly counting to 10. Ma'am, she said slowly, you cannot keep pressing the call button. I am asking you politely. Well, I am asking you, Karen interrupted, pointing a furious finger, to acknowledge that this turbulence is unnecessary and I demand that the pilot turn it off. Dead silence. I rubbed my temple. Ma'am. It's not a ceiling fan. You don't just switch off turbulence. Karen spun toward me again. You stay out of this. Nobody asked the peanut gallery. Behind me, someone whispered, peanuts are extra now, though. Lily shrank into her seat, anxiety creeping back into her wide eyes. I softened my tone, leaning slightly forward so she'd hear me. It's okay, I said. Turbulence feels scary, but it's normal. Planes are built for it. She nodded timidly. I know. People yelling makes it worse. Karen heard that too. And for a moment, just one moment, I thought maybe, she'd show a flicker of empathy. But no. Karen stood up anyway. Or tried to. The plane shook again and she sat right back down, heavily, like the universe itself smacked her back into place. Finally, Maya's professionalism snapped. Ma'am, she said, hands on hips, I'm giving you a formal warning. If you continue pressing the call button without an emergency, or if you remain out of your seat while the sign is on, we will be required to file an incident report. And the captain may decide to notify law enforcement upon landing. The cabin went pin-drop silent. That got everyone's attention, including Karen's. She blinked. Twice. You can't threaten me, she stammered. It's not a threat, Maya replied. It's procedure. Karen folded her arms, fuming. Fine. But when I write a complaint, all of your jobs will be in danger. Maya was unfazed. Please do. Our customer service team will be happy to review all of this. She gestured vaguely at Karen's existence. A few passengers clapped softly. Karen huffed and sank deeper into her seat, muttering something about untrained airline staff and turbulence conspiracies. Lily looked over at me with a small, grateful smile. Thank you. For helping earlier. And for not. Exploding at her like everyone else. Oh, I'm exploding, I whispered back. Just internally. She giggled, actually giggled, and some of the tension melted from her face. The turbulence eased. The cabin steadied. People returned to headphones, books, naps. But Karen? She simmered silently, arms crossed, plotting whatever havoc she intended to unleash next. And I had a feeling the flight wasn't done with her yet. Not even close. The rest of the flight stayed surprisingly calm, well, as calm as a flight with a Karen on board could be. The turbulence stopped, the seatbelt sign dimmed, and most passengers slipped back into their pre-Karen peace. But peace never lasts long with her. The moment the sign went off with a soft ding, Karen launched herself out of her seat like she'd been fired from a cannon. "There. Now I can stretch," she announced dramatically to the entire cabin, as though she'd just won some grand battle against the laws of physics. I sighed. Lily gave me an apologetic, almost worried look, like she already sensed another storm incoming. Karen marched straight down the aisle toward the galley where the flight attendants were finally taking a breath. Maya noticed her approaching and visibly braced herself. "Here we go." "Excuse me," Karen declared loudly, "I would like to speak with the captain." "Now." Maya blinked. "The captain? He's flying the plane, ma'am." "Well, he can put it on autopilot." Karen barked. "I have concerns about the turbulence and the rudeness I experienced. And I want to make sure that complaint of yours," she mimicked quotation marks in the air, "is not filed." "It is filed," Maya replied calmly. "And the captain is not available unless it's an emergency." "Oh, this is an emergency," Karen insisted, eyes wide with self-importance. "I don't feel respected." A man nearby muttered, "Neither do we." Karen whipped around. "I will get you banned from this airline." The man held up his hands. "Ma'am, I don't even work for this airline." The whole section laughed. Karen hissed like a teakettle and spun back to Maya. "I need to speak to your supervisor." Maya smiled tiredly. "I am the supervisor." Karen froze. Her face twisted, rebooting like her brain was struggling to process that she had run out of people to yell at. Then, just when Maya thought the storm had passed, Karen dramatically jabbed the galley counter. "Fine. Then I want a free upgrade. First class. For my trouble." Maya blinked again. "We're in the air." "Yes, and?" Karen demanded. "We can't move you to first class mid-flight." "Why not?" Before Maya could respond, a voice came from behind her. "Because the seat is occupied," said a calm, authoritative voice. Everyone turned. It was the captain himself. Not because Karen was important. Not because she was right. But because he'd been listening to the repeated call button signals and decided he'd had enough. He stepped forward, tall, steady, and radiating the kind of calm authority that instantly quieted the entire section. "Ma'am," the captain said, "I understand you're unhappy, but you have repeatedly disrupted the crew and your fellow passengers. I need you to sit down immediately." Karen gasped, scandalized. Excuse me, but you work for me. I paid for this flight." The captain shook his head. "I work for the safety of everyone on this plane." Karen opened her mouth to argue again. But the plane jerked slightly as it entered another small wave of turbulence. The universe, it seemed, loved timing. Karen stumbled. The captain steadied her by the elbow before she toppled into a drink cart. "Seat," he repeated, firmer. Karen, for the first time all flight, shut up. Wordlessly. She turned and stomped back to her row with the body language of a child being told bedtime was non-negotiable. As she passed me, she glared. "This is your fault somehow." I tilted my head. "Happy to assist." Lily giggled quietly beside me. When Karen resumed her seat, everyone in the surrounding rows let out a collective, exhausted exhale. Even Lily sat straighter, relieved the storm had passed. The captain addressed the cabin. "Thank you for your patience, folks. We'll start our initial descent shortly." Applause broke out. Genuine applause. He shot a kind smile toward Lily. Then his face turned stern again as he looked at Karen. And ma'am, he said, after we land, you'll remain seated. Airport security will speak with you about your behavior. Her eyes widened in horror. Security? Why? I didn't do anything wrong. You interfered with crew operations and ignored safety instructions, the captain said. That is grounds for an incident report. Karen sputtered. But, this is a mistake. He simply nodded politely and walked back toward the cockpit. The landing was refreshingly peaceful. No yelling, no button pressing, no declarations of being a platinum-level traveler whose comfort mattered more than basic physics. Lily even looked out the window during descent, her shoulders relaxing as the ground grew closer. When the wheels touched down with a smooth thud, the cabin erupted in relieved chatter. But Karen? She just sat there trembling in disbelief. As soon as the plane docked at the gate, 2 uniformed airport security officers stepped on board. They walked straight to row 14. The entire cabin watched. Ma'am, one officer said calmly, please come with us. Karen sputtered. Me? No. You don't understand. The second officer gently gestured toward the aisle. Please. Now. Karen looked around wildly, searching for support. Every passenger watched, stone-faced. Even Lily, the softest-hearted person here, gave a tiny relieved exhale. Karen finally stood up, defeated, clutching her purse like a lifeline. As she shuffled down the aisle, she paused next to me. I hope you're happy, she whispered bitterly. I smiled. Oh, incredibly. And with that, Karen was escorted off the plane. The cabin broke into applause, louder than before, freer, like everyone had survived something together. Lily turned to me and said, thank you. Really? It would have been so much scarier without you. I smiled back. You did great. As we stepped off the plane, she added, I hope I never sit near another Karen again. Same, I said. But realistically, this is Earth. She laughed, and just like that, the chaos of the flight felt like a story we'd tell one day. But for now? We were all simply grateful to be back on the ground, with Karen far, far away.